Hi, today I come up with a new topic that is lab training step by step in Azure. Course introduction and structure. Azure hands-on training overview and objectives. Structure hands-on labs. The training provides step-by-step labs that build practical Azure skills through guided exercises, core Azure services covered. Participants work with essential Azure components like VMs, virtual networks, and Azure Active Directory. Focus on security and governance. Labs emphasize secure configuration, monitoring, and governance following best practices for cloud adoption. Suitable for certifications and roles. The training supports cloud engineers, admin, security pros, and certification exam preparation. Agenda and lab flow explanation. Work core infrastructure setup. Start by creating a resource group and deploying a virtual machine to build functional cloud infrastructure. Networking and security. Implement virtual networks, subnets, and network security groups to manage traffic and enforce network segmentation. Identify and access management. Configure the role based access control and deploy key vault for secure permission management and secret storage. Monitoring and cleanup. Use Azure Monitor and Defender for cloud for security monitoring, then perform cleanup to manage resources responsibility. Core Azure hands-on labs. Lab 1. Creating and managing an Azure resource group. Role of resource group. Organize related to Azure resources for simplified management, access control, and cost tracking. Create a resource group. Learners create resources groups in Azure portal by selecting a subscription region and assigning consistent names. Practical usage and governance. Resource groups enable separation of workloads, apply RBAC permission, and improve governance and cost management. Lab 2. Deploying an Azure virtual machine. VM creation and OS selection. Learners initiate VM creation in Azure portal, choosing between Linux and Windows operating system. VM sizing and performance. Selecting VM size like standard B2S balances cost and performance for lab deployments. Secure administrative access. Configuring secure access using SSH key or passwords ensure protection of the VM. Networking and validation. Automatic setup of virtual network, subnet, and security group followed by connection validation via SSH or RDP. Lab 3. Configuring Azure Virtual Networks and Subnets. Introduction to VNets. Azure Virtual Networks form the core of cloud networking, enabling IP addressing and isolation. Subnet segmentations, creating front end, back end, and management subnets. Isolates applications tiers for security and management. Network and planning and security. Careful the IP range planning avoids overlaps and enables security rules and routing within subnets. Advanced VNet features. VNet supports VPN gateways, express route, peering for secure and scalable cloud communications. Lab 4. Implementing network security groups. NSG basics and purpose. Network security groups control behind and outbound network traffic at the subnet or interface levels in cloud environments. Configuring inbound roles. Inbound rules allow necessary traffic like HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, and RDP from the restricted IPs following least privilege principle. Outbound rules and compliance. Default outbound rules are reviewed with emphasis on restricting outbound traffic to meet security and compliance requirements. Validation and real world use. Validate energy associations and rule priorities. Energy segments applications, tires, reducing attack surfaces in real deployment. Lab 5 Configuring Azure Airbag Role Assignments. Understanding Azure Airbag. Azure Airbag controls user and group permissions for accessing cloud resources with built in roles like reader and contributor. Assigning roles at proper scope. Assign permissions to at the lowest necessary scope such as resource group level to minimize risk and follow security best practices. Validating access permissions. Confirm assigned users can only perform actions permitted their roles to ensure proper access enforcement. Real world airbag scenarios. Examples include auditors granted read only access and developers given contributor roles to maintain governance and compliance. Lab 6 Deploying and using Azure Key Vault. Secure secret storage. Azure Key Vault securely stores sensitive information like passwords, keys, and certificates to prevent hard coding in applications. Access control management. A Key Vault uses Azure Airbag to control access, ensuring only authorized users and applications retrieve secrets. Common use cases. Typical uses include storing connection strings, integrating with virtual machines, and leveraging managed identities. Security and compliance benefits. Auditing access and rotating credentials without redeployment enhances compliance and security in cloud environments. Lab 7 Creating and securing an Azure storage account. Secure storage account setup. Create storage accounts with unique names and choose redundancy options like locally redundant storage for data reliability. Security best practices enforce TLS 1.2 or higher, disable anonymous access, and optionally use private endpoints to protect data. Blob container management. Create a private blob containers and review access levels to prevent unauthorized or public data exposures. Compliance and validation. Validate access restrictions and understand how secure storage aligns with data protection regulations to avoid breaches. Lab 8 Enabling Azure Monitor and Alerts. Log collections and analysis. Learn to collect logs and analyze metrics using Azure Monitor and Log Analytics for centralized monitoring. Configuring metric based on alerts. Set up alerts triggered by specific metrics like CPU usage, crossing defined thresholds for proactive detection. Alert notifications via action groups. Use action groups to notify administrators via email or other channels when the alerts are triggered. Real world monitoring use cases. Detect bottlenecks, security incidents, and meet SLAs using proactive monitoring cloud environments. Lab 9 Enabling Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Introduction to Defender for Cloud. Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides continuous security assessments and workload protection for Azure services. Secure Score and Recommendations. Secure Score quantifies security posture and guides users to reduce risk through actionable recommendations. Compliance and threat protections. Defender for Cloud integrates compliance standards and delivers threat protection to enhance security posture. Lab validation and real world use. Learners validate secure score visibility and learn how security teams prioritize remediation and maintain compliance. Lab 10 Cleanup Azure resources. Resource cleanup importance. Properly removing unused cloud resources prevents unnecessary charges and maintains efficient environments. Deleting resource groups. Deleting a resource group automatically removes all associated resources like virtual machines and storage counts. Cost Management practices. Regular resource reviews and automated cleanup help avoid accumulating cloud services charges. Cloud hygiene and life cycle. Understanding full life cycle of a cloud resources encourages responsible management from creation to decommissioning. This is the last slide for today's interesting lab environment for Azure. Thank you.